Good morning, my dear students, and I welcome you all for the English online classes. In the previous class, we have completed activity sheet 6. Today, we will start a new chapter from your Learn Well book, that is, chapter 4.1 Love. What do you mean by love? Love means pyar. Love can happen with anyone. It's not that for loving you just need parents, cousins, siblings. No. Only love is between human beings? No. Love is between birds, animals also. Is it? So, love can be in between anyone. We can also love animals. There are many people, those who are having animals or pet animals in their house. Is it? So, here in this chapter, we will learn about love. Not only love of human being, but the love of human being for birds and animals, and also the love of birds and animals for their companions. In this chapter 4.1 Love, it's written by a famous and great short storyteller. His name is, full name I'm telling you, here only half name given, in your book also it's given in half. His full name is Henry Rene Albert Guido Maupassant. His full name is Henry Rene Albert Guido Maupassant. Okay? And he took birth on 1850 and he lived till 1893. I hope you can able to see the picture clearly. His full name is, kindly keep in your mind his full name, I can give for your exam also. Henry Rene Albert Guy de Maupassant. Henry Rene Albert Guy de Maupassant. Okay, so this is his full name and he lived from 1850 to 1893. Henry Rene Albert Guy de Maupassant was a 19th century French author. Who he was? He was a 19th century French author. And he was remembered as a master of the short story. He used to tell short story. So he was remembered as a master of short story who depicted human lives and destinies. And every time he used to depict human lives and destinies and social forces and often pessimistic terms. Okay, so he is the person who wrote this chapter, A Story of Love. Let's start the chapter. 4.1 Love. Here you will read a story by Guy de Maupassant, who was a great French writer. The story tells how love governs not only the heart of man, but also the heart of birds and animals. That's what I told you. Let's start the chapter. I have just read in newspaper a drama of passion. He killed her and then he killed himself. He must have loved her. It is not he or she that matters to me. It is their love alone that matters to me. It recalls to my mind a remembrance of my youth. So what Mr. Guy is telling over here, that he read a newspaper. In a newspaper he read a drama of passion. Passion means strong feeling of love. Okay, so he read a drama of strong feeling of love in which it was written that a person killed a girl, a boy or a man killed a lady, and then the man killed himself. And what the storyteller is telling over here, that he must have loved her. He is telling that it is written in the newspaper that that person who killed the lady, he must have loved her. But it's not he or she that matters to the author. Who is it? It's the love alone that matters to the author. And he's telling that it recalls to the author's mind a remembrance. Remembrance means याद करना. Okay, so a remembrance of his youth, his young days. What remembrance? Let's see. I am very fond of shooting. Shooting means with shooting. Killing of animals and birds using rifle or using any type of gun. That is shooting. Okay, not taking a movie clipping shooting or a serial clipping shootings. Understood? So I am very fond of shooting, yet the sight of the wounded animal or bird or the blood on its feathers and on my hands affects my heart so deeply as to make it almost stop. He's telling over here that he was very fond of shooting, means he was very lovable. He used to love to do shooting, but the sight when he see the wounded animal, wounded means the injured animals or bird, but when he used to see the injured animals or bird or the blood on the bird's feathers and on his hands, it affects the author's heart very deeply, and that make him to almost stop this shooting. That year the cold weather set in suddenly toward the end of autumn, and I was invited by one of my cousins, Carl, to go with him and shoot ducks on the marshes near his farmhouse. So, that year the cold weather set in suddenly towards the end of autumn, and this author, he was invited by his cousin. And what is his cousin's name? Carl. And for what reason he invited him? To go for shooting. Shooting for what? Shoot ducks on the marshes. Marshes means what? Low-lying wetland, usually with standing water and tall grasses. Daldal. In a short way, we used to say daldal, okay, in Hindi. So, it's a low-lying wetland. Marshes means a very dampy and low-lying wetland, and usually it is having water with tall grasses. So, marshes near his farmhouse. Then what happens? See, my cousin was a jolly fellow of 40, a typical countryman, stout, rough, bearded, and dull. He lived in a large farmhouse situated in a broad valley through which a river ran. The hills right and left were covered with woods. Here the rarest of birds could be found. So what is given over here, that his cousin was a jolly fellow. Jolly fellow means very happy fellow. Okay, he was a very happy person. And what was his age? He was of 40, but he was a typical countryman. What do you mean by countryman? Having the qualities of a villager. So he was having all the qualities, a typical quality of the villager, and he was stout, means solidly built, rather fat. He was not fat, he was tall, stout. He used to look very good and handsome. He used to be bearded. He was having beard. He was rough in nature as well as slow in understanding. And he was very slow in understanding. Dull means slow in understanding. And where they used to live? He used to live in a large farmhouse which was situated in a broad valley through which a river ran. And the hills right and left nearby the farmhouse, the farmhouse were covered with the hills, and right and left were covered with woods. And all the hills which was present over there, it was covered from all the sides with woods. And here the rarest of birds could be found. The rarest means the birds which we cannot get commonly. Those kinds of birds can be found nearby that farmhouse. In the valley there were large meadows separated by hedges. Further on, by the side of the river, there was a mast wash. In the valley, there were large meadows separated by hedges. Further on, by the side of the river, there was a vast marsh. It was the best shooting ground I ever saw. It was my cousin's chief care. He kept in as a preserve through the rushes that covered it. Narrow passages had been cut. Through these passages, my cousin often went in his flat-bottomed boat to catch fish or hunt wildfowl. So what is given over here? That in the valley, what was there? There were large meadows. Meadows means a piece of grassland. Okay, a piece of grassland. So in the valley, there were large piece of grassland which was separated by hedges. What is that hedges? It is a fence or boundary. Okay, And further on, by the side of the river, what was there? There was a vast marsh. I told you just the meaning of marsh. It was the best shooting ground. What the author is telling, that it was the best shooting ground that he ever saw. And who it was who used to take chief care? It was the author's cousin Karl, who used to take chief care of the author. He kept it as a preserve. Who used to take care of the place, okay, and he kept it as a preserve. Preserve means area where game or fish are preserved for private hunting or fishing. Game means animals and birds hunted for food or sport. Okay, so preserve meaning is area where fish are preserved for private hunting or fishing, and animals and birds are also hunted for food or sport. Okay, so he kept it as a preserve. Through the rushes that covered it. Rushes means marsh plants with slender stems which are dried and used for making chair, seats, buckets, etc. So through the rushes that covered it, narrow passages had also been cut. Through these passages, his cousin Karl often went in his flat-bottomed boat to catch fish or hunt wild fowl. So how he used to hunt or catch fish? He used to use the flat-bottomed boat. Okay, it's a kind of boat which Karl used for catching up the fish or hunt wild fowl. What do you mean by fowl? Fowl means birds, so wild birds. I arrived at my cousin's in the evening. It was freezing cold. We had dinner in the large room whose sideboards, walls and ceiling were covered with stuffed birds. Among them were hawks, owls, nightjars, buzzards, vultures and falcons. Dressed in a sealskin jacket, my cousin himself resembled some strange animal. He told me about the preparations he had made for that same night. So, when the author arrived at his cousin's in the evening, it was totally freezing cold, and then they had dinner in the large room whose sideboards means what? Sideboards means tables with drawers and cupboards for crockery. Okay, the tables which are having drawers and cupboards for keeping up all the crockeries. Crockeries means all the bowls, then spoons and all those things. Okay, they are known as crockeries. So for that, the room was having the sideboards, and it was also having walls and ceilings were covered. And how the walls and ceilings were covered? It was covered with stuffed birds. Stuffed birds means empty bodies of dead birds filled with material so as to give them their original shape. So all the birds which Karl used to hunt and used to kill, what he used to do after killing the bird, he used to take out all the parts and all the things which is inside the bird out, and in place of that he used to put or filled the bird with material to give the bird original shape. Okay, so that is stuffed birds. So how was the walls and the ceiling? It was covered with the stuffed birds. And among those birds, who all were there? They were hawks, owls, nightjars, buzzards, vultures and falcons. And they were dressed in a sealskin jacket. My cousin himself resembled some strange animal, and his cousin also himself resembled some strange animal. That animal's names are not given over here. Who told me? Karl told to the author about the preparations he had made for that same night, because at that same night they were going to hunt the birds or the animals. Then what they did see? We were to start at 3:30 in the morning so as to reach the marsh at about 4:30. On that spot, a hut had been built to shelter us somewhat from the biting wind which blows before daybreak. I threw myself onto my bed immediately after we had finished our meal and went to sleep by the side of a bright fire burning in the grate. At 3 o'clock, he woke me up. I put on a sheepskin, and my cousin covered himself with a bearskin. After having each swallowed 2 cups of scalding coffee, followed by glasses of brandy, we started, accompanied by a gamekeeper and our 2 dogs. So it's given over here that they were to start at 3:30 in the morning so as they can reach to that marshy place, and it used to take about 4:30. Okay, so on that spot a hut had been built in the spot where they went for shooting, and a hut had been built to shelter them somewhat from the biting cold, because it was too cold over there. That's why the hut had been built over there, which blows before daybreak. Okay, then the author, he threw himself onto the bed, means he went to the bed immediately so that he can take sleep, and as he finished his meal, he went to the bed immediately for taking sleep. And where he went to sleep by the side of a bright fire burning in the grate. What do you mean by grate over here? A fireplace. Okay. And then at 3 o'clock, his cousin woke him up, and then he wore a sheepskin and his cousin wore a bear skin. He wore a bear skin. And after that, they both swallowed 2 cups of scalding coffee. What do you mean by scalding coffee? Boiling hot coffee. Okay, so they drank boiling hot coffee, which was followed by the glasses of brandy. They took some brandy also. It's a kind of alcohol. Okay, and then they started, accompanied by a gamekeeper. Who is a gamekeeper? A man employed to breed and protect game birds on an estate. So you can just say that he's an employed man who is just kept for taking up the instruments, or for taking up the things for shooting. All the things that we used for shooting, for keeping all those things and keeping an eye on the other animals or birds that they should not harm. Those people are known as gamekeepers. So they kept a gamekeeper also. Here game doesn't mean hockey, football, cricket. Okay, here game means shooting of animals and birds. So they kept them as a gamekeeper. And who went with them? 2 more. They were the 2 dogs. After what happened, see, Carl and I walked side by side, our backs bent, our hands in our pockets, and our guns under our arms. We were soon on the edge of the marsh and entered one of the lanes of dry rushes. Our elbows, which touched the long ribbon-like leaves, left a slight noise behind us. Suddenly, at the turn of one of the lanes, I saw the hut which had been constructed to shelter us. I went in and rolled myself up in a rug, but it was so terribly cold that I began to cough. My cousin Carl felt uneasy for me. And what's given over here? That Carl and the author, they walked side by side. Their backs were bent and their hands were in the pocket, and they were having guns under their arms. And soon, when they reached on the edge of the marsh and entered one of the lanes of dry rushes, our elbows, means the cousin and the Carl and the author's elbow, touched the long ribbon-like leaves, left a slight noise behind them. Okay, and suddenly at the turn of one of the lanes, what happened? The author saw the hut which had been constructed to shelter them. Then the author went in and rolled himself in a rug. But it was so terribly cold that the author began to cough. After that, his cousin Carl felt uneasy for the author. After that, "No matter if we don't kill much today," he said. "I don't want you to catch cold. We will light a fire." And he told the gamekeeper to cut some rushes. We made a pile in the middle of our hut. There was a hole in the middle of the roof to let out the smoke. Our hut was made of lumps of ice. When the red flames rose up, the lean ice blocks began to melt gently, as if they were sweating. Carl, who had gone outside, called out to me, "Come and look here." So, what Carl said, no matter if we don't kill much, but I don't want that you should catch cold, that's why I will light a fire. And he told the gamekeeper to just cut some rushes and to put it for the fire. Then they made a pile in the middle of their hut. You can able to see the picture. See, in this way, in the middle of the hut, what they did, they just put a pile in the middle of the hut, and there was a hole in the middle of the roof to let out the smoke. You can able to see the smoke. See, smoke. And here inside the fire is burning. And their hut was made up of lumps of ice. Lumps of ice means it's looking like a igloo, is it? So big hard pieces, usually without a shape. So it was without a shape. The hut was made of lumps of ice. When the red flames rose up, you can able to see how the red flames rising up from there. when it rose up, the lean ice blocks began to melt. It is obvious that if you are putting fire and if the house is made up of ice, automatically it will start getting to melt. And in the same way it get melted, and it was looking like their eyes were sweating. Carl, who had gone outside, the author called him that come and look over here, like that he said. After that, what happened? See, I went out of the hut and was struck with astonishment. Our hut, in the shape of a cone, looked like a huge diamond with a heart of fire. And inside we saw two charming forms, those of our dogs, who were warming themselves at the fire. You can able to see two dogs over here. See, 1, 2. So the two charming forms were who? They were the dogs who were getting themselves warm at the fire. And how the hut was looking? It was looking like a shape of a cone and like a huge diamond with a heart of fire. Suddenly a wandering cry passed near our heads, and the light from our hearth showed us the wild birds. Put out the fire, said Carl to the gamekeeper. It is getting daylight. The sky was beginning to grow pale. Beautiful white ducks started rising from the marshes. After every few minutes, they rose in the sky in long, thin lines and then disappeared in the horizon. A stream of light burst out into the night. Carl had fired, and the two dogs ran forward. So suddenly what happened? The wandering cry passed near our heads. Near our heads means near these people's heads. Okay. And when they saw who it was, they were the wild birds. So he asked the gamekeeper to put out the fire. And why he told him so? Because it was getting daylight and the sky was beginning to grow pale. So the beautiful ducks started rising from the marshes, and after every few minutes they rose in the sky in long thin lines and then disappeared in the horizon. Horizon means the line at which the earth and the sky appear to meet. So like that, the birds used to come up and then they used to disappear in the horizon. A stream of light burst out in the night. Carl had fired, and the two dogs, they ran forward. And then every minute now, I fired from our guns as soon as Flying Duck appeared above the rushes, and the dogs, out of breath but happy, brought the bleeding birds to us. The birds painfully fluttered their wings, and their eyes occasionally looked at us. So now what they started doing? Every minute, both Carl and the author, they started firing from their guns as soon as the flying duck appeared. You can able to see in the picture also. So as soon as the flying duck was appearing above the rushes, they both started shooting them. And what the dogs did? The dogs, out of breath, but they were happy. Why they were happy? The dogs were happy because they brought the bleeding birds to the author and Carl. The birds painfully fluttered their wings. The birds, you can able to see here in the picture how the birds are painfully fluttering their wings, and their eyes occasionally looked at us. Looked at whom? Looked at both these people. The sun had risen, and it was a bright day with a blue sky. We were thinking of taking our departure. Departure means to get back. Just then, two birds with extended necks and outstretched wings flew rapidly over our heads. You can able to see? Okay, rapidly over our head. I fired, and one of them fell almost at my feet. See, one fell almost at his feet. It was a teal with a silver breast, and then in the blue space above me, I heard a voice, the voice of a bird. It was a short, repeated, heart-rending lament. This bird began to turn round and round in the blue sky over our heads. It was looking at its dead companion, which I was holding in my hand. So, what this person did when he has seen that two birds are continuously flying over their heads, so what they did, they just shoot at the bird, one of the bird, and when one of the bird was shot and dropped down, at that time he has seen that what the bird is, It's a teal. Teal means small wild duck living near rivers or lakes. So it was a small wild duck which was living near rivers or lakes with silver breast. And after seeing this, after killing this bird, the other companion of this bird, lament means strong expression of grief. So the other companion of this bird, that companion started making repeatedly noise, and the noise was strong. The expression of grief means it was so strong, heartrending lament, and the expression of that other companion was very strong. And that other companion was continuously turning round and round in the blue sky over these people's head, and the companion was continuously looking at its dead companion, which this person was holding in his hand. See how the birds also have feelings, no? When one of their companions shot down to death, the bird was very unhappy, and he was just showing his expression of grief, strong expression of angerness, strong expression of grief, that why these people they killed his companion. Carl was on his knees, his gun on his shoulder, watching it eagerly until it should be within. "You have killed the duck," he said, "and the drake will not fly away." And really he did not fly away. He circled over our heads repeatedly and continued his cries. Never have any cries of suffering pained my heart so much as that lament of the poor bird. Occasionally he flew away due to the danger of the gun which followed his movements. Then it would seem to me that he had decided to continue his flight alone, but as he could not bear the pain of separation, he would return to find his mate. So, Carl was on his knees, his gun on his shoulder, watching it eagerly until it should be within. And he said, "You have killed the duck." Carl said, to me means to the author, that you have killed the duck and the drake. Drake means the masculine. Male duck is known as drake. Okay, so he's telling that the drake will not fly away. He will come to us continuously as we have killed his companion. So, really, the drake did not fly away. He was just circling over the heads of these people and continuously crying. And those cries of suffering pained the heart of the author so much that he was just continuously thinking of that poor bird. Occasionally the bird flew away due to the danger of the gun, but again when he used to think about his companion, then he was not thinking about anything. He was just thinking that I could not bear the pain of the separation with my companion, and after thinking that, he would just return to find his mate. Next, "Leave her to the ground," Carl said to me. "He will come within shot by and by." And he did indeed come near us by and by, careless of the danger. He came nearer and nearer, drawn by his blind love, by his deep affection for his mate whom I had just killed. Carl fired, and I saw something red come down. Then the noise of a fall among the rushes was heard. One of the dogs brought it to me. "Put these two in your game bag," Carl said to me, "and let's move now. We are already very late." Carl went into the hut to collect his things. His two dogs also went wagging after him. I knelt down, made a large hole in the ground, and buried the two dead birds in the same grave in their own home in the cold and lonely marshes. Carl never came to know what I had done. I returned to Paris the same evening. So, what Carl did, Carl just said to the author that leave the duck to the ground and we will come within short by and by. And what the drake will do, the drake will come again and again to us. And as he will come, we will do something. So the same thing happened. The drake, careless of the danger, after seeing the companion dead, he came to those people again and again, and he came nearer and nearer because he was drawn by his blind love. And he was having anger that why these people killed my companion. And by his deep affection for his mate, whom the author had just killed, the drake, instead of thinking anything that they will kill to the drake also, he just flew nearby to them so that he can just meet his mate, meet his companion, or else he can harm these people in any way. Then Karl, what he did, he just fired, and the author saw something red come down. Something red come down means, what is that red? Blood. Okay. Then the noise of the fall. Then they heard the noise of a fall. Among the rushes, they heard. And one of the dogs, what the dog did, out of two dogs, one of the dog, he just brought that dead drake's body to the author. And what Karl said to the author, that put these two birds in your game bag. You are having a bag, just put these birds in your game bag, and it's already too late, so let's move from here, we'll go back home. And after saying all this, what Karl did, he just went into the hut to collect his things. And what the two dogs did, they also went at the back of Karl, wagging after him. Wagging means moving the tail quickly from side to side or up and down. They just wagged their tail and they went after their master. Who was their master? Karl. Okay. Then the author, he knelt down, and what he did, he made a large hole in the ground. Karl said to keep those birds inside the bag, but instead of putting those birds inside the bag, the author was so depressed after killing those duck and drake that he just made a large hole in the ground and he buried both the dead birds in the same grave, because it was their own home and in the cold and lonely marshes. And after that, Karl never came to know. Karl, who was the cousin of the author, he never came to know that what the cousin of him had done. And then the author returned to Paris the same evening. So we learned from this story that love is not only among human beings, that okay, my mother got hurt or my father got hurt, of a father and mother the children are getting hurt, so only we are having feeling, we are having pain. No, the birds and animals are also having pain for their companions. That's why we shouldn't have to kill any bird or animal. We don't know whether they are male, female, husband, wife, brother, sister, mother, father. We don't know. So we shouldn't have to hurt anyone. It doesn't mean that they cannot speak, they cannot tell about their pain, so we can do anything. No. We human beings can speak. We human beings can show our feelings. We can say, we can tell, okay, I'm feeling hungry, I'm not feeling good today, I'm feeling very depressed. These all things we can say, isn't it? But the birds and animals, they cannot tell all these things from their mouth. So we have to understand them rather than killing them unnecessarily. Okay, dear children? I hope you all understood the chapter. Question answer I'll give you so that you can prepare for your exam. Thank you, my dear children.